Hey, and welcome to Matt and Jess TV. I am Matt Rose.
And I'm Jessica Bun Bun.
We are here to discuss fully The Traitors, Season 3, Episode 1, 2, and 3. This is the US version of the show. All reality stars. It has been a long wait. We are here, ready to dive in.
Yeah, it's nice to be back covering reality TV here on the channel. We have not covered a lot of reality TV in the past couple years. We've had a lot of more scripted shows here, which we also still have a lot of scripted shows going on here. But it's really nice to get back into reality TV. And Traitors is a show that Matt and I love.
Yes.
We have seen every single version of this show internationally, plus the US versions. It is a show that for me, my favorite reality show. I absolutely love this show so much.
Yeah, I've really come to love the format of this, the gameplay of it, how it works out. Like, I'm constantly in like a tug of war with various reality shows because like The Amazing Race is always one of my first loves. There's parts of Survivor I love. There's parts of Survivor that I get frustrated with. But there is just something about watching a premiere of The Traitors and kind of seeing, who are going to be picked? Why are they going to be picked? What are they going to do with the power? Like that stuff is always endlessly entertaining.
The reason that I really like The Traitors, and especially with the US version, because they do use more reality stars where that's not really the case with the international versions, is because on Survivor, on Big Brother, on The Bachelor, you're not really getting in there and getting your hands super dirty. It feels like in the past, I don't know, 5, 7, 8 years where social media is so rampant right now that a lot of new players will go on to reality shows where you should normally be able to play a little dirty and they don't because they're worried about their social media presence afterwards where it's like, I want my Instagram followers. I want whatever. I want people to like me so that I can, sell cheese, whatever it is that they're doing on there. But with The Traitors, the whole purpose of this show is to scheme and to be able to play dirty and to be able to backstab. And if you're not doing that on this show, then it doesn't make any sense. It is giving reality stars a pass to be bad.
Okay, we have so much to get into from these episodes. There's things I like. There's things that I did not like. There's a lot that's set up for the rest of this season. Before we do, though, hit that subscribe button. We are going to be here through all of The Traitors this season, which, it's going to last the next several weeks. We're going to have all sorts of great reviews. We're so close to 68,000 subscribers. We have been doing this for years. It would mean so much to us if you hit that subscribe button and help us reach that milestone.
Also hit that subscribe button because we're going to be back for Survivor.
Yes.
And that is coming up in February, a couple days before my 50th birthday. Oh my God.
Man, happy way early birthday right now.
Right? So definitely hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our Survivor coverage or our Traitors coverage. Okay, so who's your favorite? Let's just start with that right now.
Okay, we got a couple.
Because Bob, my queen, I love you so much. Oh my goodness.
Okay, see, I know Bob in a way I think a lot of other people don't know Bob. My first experience on him was watching him on After Midnight, and he's like really, really funny. He's got a lot of charisma. Yes. I do really like him.
I've never seen Bob before. This is my first time seeing him. I absolutely love him. He is funny.
My favorite is Jeremy. And I'm talking specifically here from not so much who do I think is going to win, not so much, who do I think is even the best player. I am looking solely on who I want to hang out with in real life. And that is a very selfish and silly way to look at it. But it is, I'm somebody who, through a lot of my life, I was never like nerdy enough for the super nerds. I was never like jockey enough for the jocks. I never really quite fit in anywhere. But Jeremy is just like the kind of guy who would hang out with anybody. And he's just so likable. And I feel like I have a lot in common with him. So it's just like, Jeremy, you are my dude. I think you have become very underrated as a Survivor winner over time where you're just very social. You can be strategic. I'm not saying you're playing an amazing game so far this season. I think you're in big trouble, but I'm still pulling for you.
I just loved seeing Bob during that first Vikings challenge.
Yeah.
Call out whoever it was. I couldn't see their face. I couldn't tell who their voice was. That was basically like, keep kicking all the women off the boat. He was the only person that stood up and was like, no, this needs to stop. This is completely unfair. There is no reason to be targeting all the women and making them get off the raft. Some of you guys need to get off the raft, and you need to get off the raft right now. I loved that so much that he called that out, because there's not a lot of people that do call out things that just felt so wrong. I heard that person say that, oh, just, get all the women off the boat. And I was like, I don't know who said that, but I'm not rooting for you. And it's not Bob. So Bob, you're my guy.
I just, as somebody who wants drama, and I'm going to admit it, I want drama. I'm a drama king. Give me drama over great gameplay all the time. I don't need to see a million game bots on every single season of a show. I just want people to play and play hard. And I appreciate that about Bob. And we'll get into kind of a brief rundown here of the initial trader selection, but I want to ask you a question. If you were playing this game, would you want to be a traitor or a faithful?
I need to be a faithful. I am so crap at lying. I feel so much guilt on it. And also just in general, from all the international versions as well, it feels like the faithful win a lot more than the traitors do, which is why I think they made this change this season. And they made it on the UK version as well, which is that when you get to the final fire pit, as you're leaving, you don't reveal if you were a traitor or not. And I think that that was very helpful to the faithfuls at the end, because typically they've changed the format a little bit. Like, we have 4 traitors going on this season. There's finally 2 women. It was always 2 men and a woman. And then when they get a traitor out, they bring in another one. So you could easily do the math to figure out, okay, by the time you get to the end, there's going to be this many traitors left. There's this many men. There's, start out with 2 men and a woman. It was just so predictable in that way. And I think that was the biggest advantage that the faithfuls have. So now I think it's going to be a lot more interesting, but I would absolutely play as a faithful. I do not want the responsibility of lying to everybody. How about you?
Okay, I'm going to surprise people now. I would be a traitor. Sign me up.
I am actually shocked.
See,
I can't. No. Who are you?
Okay.
You are the guy who has to play the hero in every single video. I try to convince Matt to play Renegade, which is the baddies on Mass Effect. He's played this game an unhealthy amount of times.
Yes.
And every single time he plays, I'm like, is this the time? Is this the time? Oh, I just feel so bad. I don't want to say bad things to people. I don't want to betray anybody. What is happening?
Okay. I put a lot of thought into this, and it comes down to me to one simple thing. If I get eliminated on a reality show, and by the way, I would never want to play Survivor. I would never want to play Big Brother. Like, the traitors, I think I would actually do pretty well at, because I just want to be the author of my own fate. I don't want to be taken out because of randomness, because somebody doesn't like the way I look at them during some whatever challenge or whatever. I want to be able to be like, okay, if I get taken out or banished at one of these ceremonies and I'm a traitor, it's because I've made the mistake. I've done something wrong. These people have caught me because of it. Like, when I was taken out on Beauty and the Geek, how many years ago was that? Like 17 years ago?
Long time.
It was because I made mistakes in a challenge, and I don't have any regrets, and I don't second. If I was a faithful and I was just taken out by something totally out of my control, I would lose my mind on that over the course of a decade. I just go ahead, throw me into the fire, make me a traitor. I will probably be very bad at it at times. I might be good at it at some other times. I think if I just sort of focus on, I'm just here to play a game. I'm just here to try to win. I'm not trying to be mean to these people. I think I can handle it.
You're a really crappy liar too.
I know, that's the problem. I'm sitting here being like, I'm good. I would be good until they ask me straight up, are you a traitor? And then I would be like, oh, look, cake. Let's have some of the cake.
No, I would go in as a faithful if I had that choice. I would go in as a faithful. I would figure out who I think the traitors are, and then I would cozy up to them, so that way they know that I trust them completely, so completely, that they can then take me to the end. And I would never throw a red bag in at the end with them, not ever. And then I would.
See, you're actually the one of us that would have a better chance of winning this game, because this is I
want the money.
I would burn too bright, because I'm one of these people. I don't want to watch boring games. I would go too crazy. I would get suspected about something. I would be good at it for the amount of time I would be there, which is probably 4 episodes. But okay.
Let's talk about who the traitors actually
Yes.
are. So Danielle Reyes, I was so happy to see this.
I know.
She's doing so well so far, and I'm really excited about her.
Yeah, I really like Danielle too. I think she's really entertaining. I think she does have a little bit of an advantage in that she's not super going to suffer from recency bias. I know she was on Reindeer Games, but not everybody even watched Reindeer Games, so I don't think that's going to
No.
be like a huge hang up. And yeah, I know that there's already a little bit of suspicion around her, Jeremy. Why you're telling things to the wrong people, my guy? Why are you doing this?
There's suspicion around my guy Bob as well. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm a little bit worried about that, but the thing that I think he's doing really well as a trader is that
Yeah.
he is the same as he was before. It's
Yeah.
the same thing that's working for Carolyn as well. Like,
Yeah.
I loved Carolyn on Survivor. I was like, man, if she's a trader and she's already really kooky, which she was on Survivor, she's still going to be kooky afterwards. And I think that that was her greatest strength on Survivor,
Yeah.
and it'll be her greatest strength here as well. That people just won't take her seriously, and it's always the mistake with her.
I will say big picture here. I don't love that we have, and this is without even getting into the fourth traitor twist, which we'll get into a little later. Just with these three, I don't love that we have it one Big Brother player, one Survivor player. It's just like that's so predictable.
Yes, it is.
I was really hoping entering this season that maybe Danielle was a traitor, but like none of the Survivor people were traitors, and that they would pick, I don't know, Lord Ivar, which by the way, I've got a lot of thoughts on Ivar as this goes along. Like I want more just random people, and I think Bob was a great choice for that reason. You're just gonna want to hang out with Bob. You're not gonna
I
think,
want to hang out with Bob.
yeah, Bob just seems like a blast. I would want those are the people who I think are more entertaining. And I think Carolyn, she's the ultimate. She's either gonna go really, really far in this and she's gonna potentially win, or the traitors are going to turn on her because she's gonna be so erratic, they're just gonna get tired of it.
Yeah, she's always the wild card, which is why when I saw her in the cast, I was like, I feel like they're probably going to make her a traitor. Okay, we need to talk about the Boston Rob of it all, because last season
Yeah.
when they announced the cast and they announced that Dan Giesling was on, I was like, okay, so he's just going to be made a traitor. He
Yeah.
would not have come out of retirement to go onto the traitors without that offer. And I'm not saying that's for sure what happened. That is my tinfoil hat
Yeah.
theory, that he was like, sure, I'll do the traitors, but I want to be a traitor. I just saw him on the cast. I was like, absolutely, he's going to be a traitor. He's a traitor.
Yeah.
Same thing happened this season. I saw Boston Rob on the cast. I'm like, well, he's not going to do the show if he's not a traitor.
Yeah.
There's no way. And then they had this whole twist where it's like, oh, you can come up and shake his hand. It's special Rob. Like, you're going to go shake his hand. Of course, nobody's going to shake his hand.
No.
But then it's like, well, he's going to be in the game anyways. I didn't like that twist at all. I was like, if you're just going to put him in the game, put him in the game. Like,
Yeah.
don't give them a false option to bring him in the game, but then you're just going to bring him in the game anyways. As a traitor, surprise. Anybody else out there with their, fake surprise faces being like, oh my
Yeah.
God, Rob is a traitor? I can't believe it.
Yeah.
Absolutely, he was going to be a traitor.
This is where we just all keep all the tinfoil on here, because there's just so
Okay.
much nonsense with all of this. Because if Rob had entered the game, he would have been made a traitor at the round table.
100%.
And the people who turned up later, because I'm assuming whoever would have been eliminated in Rob's place would have been put in one of those cages too. And
Right.
then they just all would have entered as faithfuls. I think they had a level of adaptability sort of baked into this show where they knew who they wanted the traitors to be in advance.
Of course.
And they just, they give people this plausibility. Now, here's time to get into one of my real beefs with this show and really with the US version of the Traitors in general.
Okay.
We're starting off
I have my
this-
beef hat
okay,
on.
yeah.
Let's go. Let's drag it.
As somebody who has gotten into a lot of the international versions, especially the UK version, like I think the UK version, which is all newbies, newcomers to reality TV, is endlessly entertaining.
Yeah.
I kind of wish that the US version was like this. I kind of hope that at some point they move away from the all reality stars. I know it's fun for nostalgia to see people like, Brittany Haynes and Tony and all these other people who we've come to know over the years on these shows. Like, I get it. It's sort of like you want to watch the Avengers to sort of see, all these superheroes come together from throughout the Marvel universe and all of that. But it's also just fundamentally not fair. Like what happens to the housewives early on this season is not fair because they're just all being lumped together. What's going to happen potentially to some of the Survivor people is not fair because they're all going to be lumped together. Having this knowledge of people in groups or knowledge based on, what you've done on reality TV before, it just makes it so that you're always going to be more suspicious of other people. And it takes away, I think, from the purity of the game. I don't know if people care about that. Maybe they don't. And they're just like, I want to watch my people again. But from a game standpoint, I just don't think this format is going to ever really fully work because some people are going to be in big trouble from the start.
Yeah, and they will always lump people together, and they should. There's 4 Survivor players, there's a pile of Big Brother players, there's 4 Real Housewives. It's inherently unfair. Like if you're gonna take one from a bunch of different reality shows,
Yeah.
it might be a bit different, but they do come in with these sort of pre-alliances in a way, even if you don't get along. I think it was Jeremy who was like, yeah, I have a problem with Tony, but we're all Survivor people, so let's work together. It doesn't matter, sort of thing. It's like, yeah, that's the right thing to do. Of course you would do that. You know these guys, and even though you couldn't trust them on Survivor and you're on Traitors, it's still better than not having an alliance. And yeah, you are also based, judged on your history. Rob was saying, oh man, I didn't get picked, oh, what, I'm getting judged on my history now? Yes, you're one of the best Survivor players and devious Survivor players ever. Of course you're based on your history, and that wouldn't be happening if it was an all new cast because everybody doesn't know anybody. My other beef is the fact that people on this show have beef with each other that I don't really know about. Like, I don't really know about Tom Sandoval or what he was doing or what he's on. And everybody's got, this other person's like, oh, he did this thing with my friend. It's like, okay, well, what exactly did he do? Like, I'm not in on that gossip. And even with Danielle and Brittany, it's like, oh, they have beef. It's like, okay, I watch lots of Big Brother. I don't know what your beef is because I didn't watch Reindeer Games, which is what you told me the beef was. And it's like, the show has to assume that we don't watch all reality TV, that we're not watching Vanderpump Rules, we're not watching Real Housewives, may not be watching Survivor, may not be watching Reindeer Games. Even a Big Brother person like me who loves Big Brother, I didn't watch Reindeer Games. So when they came in, Danielle and Brie, oh man, we have a beef. What is it? Like, either introduce it entirely or don't introduce it at all, because as a viewer that doesn't know what everybody's beefs actually are, that could be really interesting to me if I knew what it actually was.
I will have a very brief Sandoval soapbox here because I do not want to spend much time this season talking about him. He sucks. I hope he gets eliminated very, very soon.
That's all I know is that everybody doesn't like him.
Yeah, he's the worst. He has shown himself on reality TV to be absolutely terrible. And my question is, why did you cast him? Who was sitting at home being like, oh, I'm so excited to watch Sandoval on they don't even want him there. Like, the only reason to keep Sandoval around on this show is just that people are going to want to get rid of him at some point because nobody is going to want Sandoval to win at the end of the show. It is just a waste of a casting. I would have rather seen Lord Ivar 2.0. I don't even remember if he's Lord Ivar, but all I know is that this man is insanely fascinating to me. He is so weird. He is so interesting. I really enjoy how they just seem to be like plucking some, like, whether it's some British figure or royal or some nobody that we've never heard of, and you're just dropping them into this like crazy pressure cooker with all of these American reality TV stars. I don't understand it, but I like it.
Okay, let's talk about the twist that Rob is back in the game. And if you have watched any of the international versions or even versions here, whenever somebody is eliminated right at the beginning of this game, which has happened many, many times, typically they are brought back in a couple
Yeah.
episodes later. So I don't think any of us were really that surprised that it was like, oh, Rob didn't fly all the way out here to just be sent home.
Yeah.
Of course they're not going to do that. Rob is too big of a casting. He's going to be brought back.
Yeah.
What I didn't expect was to see Derek on the show. Wes, I'm sorry, I don't know who you are. I haven't watched the challenge, but I was really surprised to see Derek was brought into, and it was like, here's this surprise. I was like, yo, Derek. Oh no.
Oh no is a very accurate way to put the reaction to Derek, because, okay, do not come for me in the comments with what I am about to say. I am not saying it from a place of joy or pleasure.
Okay.
Derek is going to win this season of the Traitors. And Derek is going to win this season because he is incredibly boring. The first month of Big Brother 16 was absolute joy. I have spoken about the gospel of Devin and his alliance and him destroying his own alliance. At CBS, for some reason, anytime they cast new Big Brother seasons, they make people watch season 16. And I'm always like, why? The end of it sucked. It was boring. And it's because Derek is such a good player.
Yes.
He just lures people to sleep. He just will.
Oh my
He
God.
is just not super charismatic, but he's great at bringing you in, making you feel like you can trust him. He's not like Boston Rob, where he's so big and charismatic that you're never going to be able to, like, ignore him. You know,
Yes.
he doesn't even have like the super fan reputation of somebody like Danielle, who didn't even win, but Danielle was just so likable and she was such a good player and she deserved the win that
Yeah.
she has been built up so much. And Derek has also kind of steered clear of being on a lot of other reality competition shows
Mhm.
since Big Brother 16. So he's got a little bit of a lower target. I am rooting for Jeremy. I would rather your guy Bob win this season. There's probably 10 other people I would rather see win this season, but it's sort of like my feelings about Nicole from Big Brother, where I don't like watching Nicole Franzel play Big Brother, but I can still acknowledge that she is a good player. Derek is a great player, and I think he will probably win this season, but he is not going to be good television along the way. I am sorry.
There was. You should told me to put my hard hat on
I'm
before
sorry.
you came.
I was too
Just
in the
what a
zone.
bus over Derek over here. Oh my God. No, I mean, that is true. I mean, he's not the most captivating television, but he's such an excellent player.
Yes.
I mean, the three of them came in with shields that they could give to people. Rob gave his to Tony, Wes gave his to Jeremy, and surprisingly,
Yeah.
but in a move that I think was extremely smart,
Yeah.
Derek gave his to Dylan over the other Big Brother players. And I feel that it's a really smart move because he doesn't know Dylan very well.
Yeah.
Dylan doesn't really know anybody very
Yeah.
well. And Derek very likely can already use his relationship with the Big Brother players because they all have that community together that they were all on Big
Yeah.
Brother together. I was like, that's the move. Derek made the move.
It's so funny to me in a way where it's basically like, oh, look, here is Derek finding another young athletic guy that is going to be his number. He's just like, you're just doing Cody all over again,
It
Derek.
worked.
It worked the first time. You're doing it again, but
Yeah.
it is a really smart move with the Shield because he's already going to have some built-in trust with Big Brother because they're not going to want to turn on each other
Yeah.
this quickly. He's building outside groups of potential numbers, and I think that's where you have to go. Well, let's take a minute here, I guess, to say sayonara to a couple of the early people we lost here. I don't have a lot to say about them. I'm sorry, Dorinda. I'm not
Yeah.
a regular Real Housewives viewer. I knew who you were, but I couldn't name 5 fun facts about you going into this season.
I didn't know who she was.
I will say this though. Ayan, I loved you in the 2 minutes of screen
Like
time.
her too. I didn't know who she was either, but she was so entertaining.
This is another guilty pleasure of mine from reality television. I will always enjoy watching the person who does not know what show they are on. And she had no idea what show she was on the entirety of it. And I'm so
love
mad
it.
they got rid of her because she would have been just so entertaining and she could have stumbled her way into, I don't know, close to the finale. And it would have been really, really funny.
We also lost Wells at the first round table, and
Eh.
I don't really like. I've watched some Bachelor and Bachelorette, Paradise,
Yeah.
all that over time, and I know who he is or whatever. But at the same time, I didn't really like him on this show. He was either getting an edit where he was kind of a bit of the villain of the season, or maybe he's just like that. I just don't really know anything about him. But I just wasn't rooting for him. I felt like it was just coming across too like aggressive. I understand why he was in that situation where he's like, why is everybody coming for me? Like, I
Yeah.
don't really understand. And, at that first round table, it was, he's right. Nobody was really talking. There were so many people there, and I felt like maybe 20% of the people were talking. Everybody else was being really quiet. I can't remember who it was, but somebody was like, "Oh, wow, that was so wild." I'm like, "No, it really wasn't." Like, there was too many people that were playing it too safe,
Yeah.
weren't saying names, weren't saying anything, and Wells just got ran over.
Yeah. To me, it just felt like Wells thought he was the smartest person in the room in a
Yeah.
lot of the conversations that he had. And he might be a pretty smart guy. Like, I don't know. I've seen Wells on some stuff. I don't know that much about him, but I just think his personality was not right. Kind of surprisingly, because he's used to being in group environments, but
Mhm.
he just didn't mesh with these people. And I wonder this a lot early game. And this will never be said on any season of the Traitors ever, where you're supposed to be taking out people you think are traitors. But I also kind of wonder, and we'll get into this in a moment too, whether or not you're also just taking out people who you either do not want there for personality reasons, or you just do not want to be at the end, even if they are a fellow faithful, because you just do not want to see them win.
Absolutely. I would play the game that way. And I know that's not necessarily the right way to play,
Mhm.
but like so many times I watch the Traitors where I'm just like, I just don't like that person and I don't want to share the money with that person. I would never let them get to the end
Yeah.
because I don't think they deserve to have the money. And
Uh,
I would rather go to the end with Matt.
Thank you. And I am a traitor, so I'm taking the money. No, okay, no. It's time to have a Tony conversation here, because if you watched our Survivor coverage, you know my love for Tony has been made very, very clear.
Runs deep.
It runs very, very deep.
He's great.
He's one of the most insanely entertaining people I have ever watched on reality television.
He absolutely is. I absolutely loved watching him on Survivor too.
I was disappointed with him on this show, and it's not because he went out early. Because I have news for you, Tony, and this is where we need to talk to each other as a fellow bald man. I am here to present some advice to you. You are never going to win one of these shows ever again, and I'm not saying that because you're not capable of it, because you really are. You won Winners at War, an all-winner season of Survivor. But because you won 2 seasons of Survivor, and because you won effectively $3 million across those seasons of Survivor, no one ever wants you to win anything ever again. Like, my tinfoil hat is I think they got rid of him because they just didn't want him to win. I don't know if it had anything to do with whether or not they thought he was a traitor or any sort of personality thing or anything like that. My disappointment with him is that because you're never going to win any of these shows again, just go full Tony when you go in there. Like, build a spy shack in like the corner of one of these rooms in the house. Be crazy, do a million different things. He tried his best to blend into the background, not ruffle any feathers, not volunteer. It's just, they're coming for you no matter what. You might as well just have fun.
No, it wasn't the right move. And it was kind of the same thing with Dan last season. He came in and got really quiet.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, but that's not, people know who you are and they
Yeah.
do know your gameplay. So if you come in and you start being really quiet, then you're not being yourself anymore. And
Yeah.
Tony, he said this. He was like, people know me. They know my gameplay. They know what I'm capable of.
Yeah.
And even though I'm a faithful, they will never believe me. And it's like, yeah, it's true. And
Yeah.
you are very self-aware of that. So then you might as well just come in and truly be yourself. Don't try to blend into the background.
Yeah.
You can't.
No.
So just do the best that you can to make some relationships with some
Yeah.
people that might be able to want to keep you around. It's just, they weren't going to trust him no matter what. Even as a faithful,
Yeah.
I would be a faithful. As a faithful, I still wouldn't trust Tony. I just wouldn't.
It's too hard. And I think the only recourse I could give Tony, and this would not work forever. This might have worked for another episode or two, is that you volunteer in the boat challenge. You volunteer to do everything at any given point, because you're basically then being like, I'm so crazy, but also I'm making a huge target on myself. I'm bringing all this attention on myself. You want to keep me because I will continue to be a huge target, as opposed to here I am being something a little bit different than what you know me to be. This is just a little bit unsettling.
Okay, everybody has their hard hat on. We're
All
going
right,
to talk
all right.
about, I think her name is Gabby.
Yes.
So the person that really got Tony moving out the door is her. And I know that there's going to be some people in the comments that are like, no, it was Rob. No, it was Gabby. She's the person who turned the focus onto Tony that started the dog pile in the first place. And if it was Rob that had started it, Rob would be getting his flowers. Did Rob continue to fan the flames? Of course. And so did a lot of other people at the table. But she is the person that got the ball rolling. And I understand that she's a faithful who got out another faithful. That's fine. However, she is the person that got Tony out.
You got to give Gabby her flowers here.
I think she's really just a dark horse here. I really believe that she is somebody to watch.
Okay, let's take out of the equation Wells here for a moment, but let's look historically on the US version of the Traitors about people from Bachelor Nation. Ari made it to the finale of the first season. Peter.
Oh my God, Peter. I did not like Peter on The Bachelor at all, but I loved him on The Traitors. I loved him.
People think that these people, because they were on dating shows, have one brain cell that they are sharing collectively with each other. And that is not the case. I think these people think that Gabby is just, I don't know, an airhead, or they're playing up some of these stereotypes. But I watched her on Dancing with the Stars. I've seen her season of Bachelorette. Like, she is smart and she is witty. And I think she is someone that could really be reckoned with. And she has like this little group with like Chriselle and Nikki, and like there is a lot of potential for them to go really, really far in this game, especially because everyone is going to be fixated on these other targets. And this is where we get to Boston Rob here, because Boston Rob decides, and you know, it's been a while since I've done this.
Okay, let's do it.
Hey, Tony, you're too big a problem for me. I gotta make them. But like, Rob decides that he's going to end up helping to get rid of Tony because he wants to protect the other traitors. And there probably was not a lot Rob could do in this situation, because it was a pretty close to unanimous vote to get rid of Tony. There were too many numbers on that side. But at the same time, Rob, Tony leaving is not good for you. It's not good for you at all, because with Tony gone, they're not going to look at Carolyn. They're not even going to look at Jeremy, even though Jeremy's won the game before. They looking at you, Chief, like you are the biggest survivor threat by far. You have also done Deal or No Deal Island. You have a ton of reality TV experience. There's always going to be this preconceived notion of you that production loves you, that you're Jeff Probst's buddy. We've all made the jokes over the years. It's like they are going to have their mind set on you fully. And with Tony gone, is going to get worse.
There was a reason why nobody shook your hand, Rob.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why nobody wanted you in the game. There was nobody that was standing in that cast that was a bigger threat than you. And I understand what the move was, to try to like throw a name out there. Oh, I think it could be Tony. Oh, this thing happened with the Shield, and then he never spoke to me again. I'm so offended. Like, it's just not a very believable story, because it was so obvious at that point that you piled on that he was already going home. Gabby already floated his name. Everyone was starting to pile on. You were just like, me too. And that's why it's kind of like, okay, I feel like people are going to give it to Rob because he's Rob, but like, I just don't think that really got him anywhere.
There's also this, I think, aftermath of this that's going to be really interesting, because Tony called Rob a sellout on his way out the door.
He did.
I don't know if this is something you're really even fully allowed to do when you're leaving the game, because it's a situation now where I think everybody's going to be wondering, okay, well, why did Tony say that? Is he just bitter at Rob because Rob made this move? Was it just their Survivor players, their winners? Did they like do a lot of pre-gaming or something like that? But I do think that this is going to be a situation now where even more attention is going to be put on Rob, because maybe they think, oh, maybe Tony now thought at the moment that Rob cast that vote, maybe Tony put it together and was like, oh, Rob is a traitor, and that this is Rob voting this way because he's trying to protect the other traitors and he knew where the votes were going to be, or whatever else it might be. But the thing that I love the most about it is this shade is getting thrown at Rob when Rob was in the deep cut, but when Rob was voted out of Heroes versus Villains, he looked at Coach when he left and he was like, "You're a little man." How does it feel, Rob, to have somebody throw some insult at you now when they're leaving the game? That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, I think what Tony said isn't going to really help or hurt Rob, honestly. I think everybody knows that Rob is a threat, and that if he was going to come into the game, they were probably going to make him a traitor. I think people just are aware that Rob's got to go, and he will at some point. Like, they just may not be going after him right away. I would. If I saw Rob in the game, the same I saw Dan Giesling in the game.
Yeah.
Get out. I don't want to play with you guys, because you guys are going to screw me over, and I'm not interested in it. I'm here for the money, and I'm not here to get run over by you guys.
Yeah, and that's the right way to play. It doesn't matter, how much you like somebody or their game or whatever. If you're there presumably to win, not to get more Instagram followers.
Absolutely. Like, I remember when Johnny Bananas got kicked out right away, and people online were so mad. And I was just like, I would have gotten rid of him immediately too. He's untrustworthy. He's a problem. He's going to cause chaos and issues. And while that's great TV, I'm here to win money. I'm not necessarily here to just have Johnny here for your entertainment. I need him to be gone so that I can have the money.
It was so funny how mad Bananas was. Like, after the fact of
he
that.
was so mad. He dragged Dan online for months. Dan never said anything back. Johnny's having a fight by himself. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, it's just, what I'll say here in the end about Tony is the same thing I said about Dan, which is just that you playing and not doing well, it doesn't take away from what you did on other shows. Like, Dan's still one of the best Big Brother players ever. I still feel that way about Tony. Dr. Will, if you ever decide to actually play the Traitors and not show up in a cameo, I will say the same thing. But before we go here, we do have to talk about this cliffhanger where we've got the Traitors all in this like secret library, and they're talking about what to do because they have to mark people, which we've seen on various versions of this show in the past.
Yeah, we have. And while that's happening, my girl Gabby again, she's like about to come into the bar area where the secret door is while Carolyn's coming out. I know the cut made it look like maybe she saw, maybe she didn't. This is my tinfoil hat of where it is.
Okay.
She came in first and saw nobody.
Yeah.
Then she left. Then she heard like giggling or talking or whatever. I think what's going to happen is that the bookcase will be closed.
Yeah.
But then they're going to be in the room, and she's going to come back into the room and be like, how did that magic happen? I was just here.
Yeah.
It was empty. Now there's people in it. And I think that unfortunately it might put a target on Gabby because will have seen something she wasn't supposed to see. But if somehow she wiggles her way out of this, I think she could go really far.
Gabby, I'm going to telepathically send you some advice now. Tell this, your girl Gabby, tell this to my guy Jeremy, because Jeremy is already suspecting Danielle.
Yeah.
If you say that you saw Danielle in there, like, you might actually have some evidence to really get something going. If you can get rid of Danielle Reyes this early in the Traitors, it is just like getting rid of Tony. If you can get rid of this good a gamer, it is so more beneficial for you. But I am really worried about Jeremy now, because Danielle's going to have options and opportunities to get rid of him.
Absolutely.
That's where we are, though, coming out of these first few episodes of The Traitors Season 3. Who are you liking? What do you think about this season? Do you like that it's all reality TV, people? Let us know. Bob. Yeah, we're I'm sorry, Bob Harper. We're not cheering for you.
Bob, not H. Okay. Sorry, Bob H.
I'm sure you are fine.
There's only one true Bob.
The entertainment wise, definitely. All right. Hit that subscribe button. Help us get to 68,000. We really, really appreciate that. You can support us further by joining our Patreon. We have exclusive video coverage happening there of The Pit on Max, brand new medical drama. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you here next time.